Good afternoon, everybody. I suggest we will start. It's 2 o'clock in the Netherlands. A warm welcome to all the Network of Networks members and all the other guests to this webinar of integration of internationalization with human resource development. My name is Marcel Kuijten. I will be the moderator. We will record this webinar only for internal usage, and so we will not share this with the world. And with participating with this webinar, we will see that as your informed consent of this recording. I'd like to welcome Ellen Geerts from Deljon College and Anne Rosier from Nuffic. Those are the two presenters from this webinar today. We will ask for you kindly to shut down your cam and your microphone, turn them off. And if you have any questions, to put them in the chat. And we'll try to answer all the questions in the chat, or when we can, we will go into it live on the camera. So I will give the floor now to Ellen. Good luck.
Thank you, Marcel. Also from my side, a warm welcome to all our international guests online. We are very honored to see you online in our session. We appreciate your interest and would like to thank you for your time and enthusiasm. My name is Ellen Geerts from Deljon College in the Netherlands, one of the partners of the Dutch Alliance. What's our program? And the most important, what's in it for you? We will give you information about the National Work Group. You will learn about how process and steps taken so far. And we offer an interactive part in which you can contribute to the format International Competences for Staff in VET. Let's get started. In November 2019, the Dutch National Agency Erasmus+ arranged the TCA Congress Professional Development of Staff in VET towards a structured and strategic approach. VET schools from Ireland, Portugal, Belgium, Croatia, Czech Republic, Germany, Sweden, and the Netherlands attended this TCA, Professional Development of Staff in VET. I always love to go home after a congress with practical agreements made with new or sustainable partners. One of the last day of the congress, I was thinking, what would be interesting follow-up around this theme? I talked with Job Wolfgang from Mondriaan Den Haag, he is retired now, about the idea to make a new work group with all Dutch VET schools. Referring to the quote, if you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go together. At the end of the TCA Congress, we asked all Dutch participants to sit down together in the lobby and to talk about possibilities for setting up a national work group. And yes, all Dutch VET schools and institutions liked the idea. Good to know is, until now, we did not start an international project yet. It's also not funded yet. Our work group believes in the importance of the theme and the impact. First step is national cooperation in the Netherlands. We would like to know each other, see how everybody works in the work group, and see how everybody contributes. And the most important, learn from and with each other. Learning by doing. The work group consists of 11 Dutch VET schools, 11 coordinators, and 4 human resource development staff. You can see ROC van Twente, ROC Midden-Nederland, Media College Amsterdam, Curio, Mondriaan, Koning Willem I, Welland, Drenthe, Rijn-IJssel, MBO Amersfoort en Deljon College. And also Nuffic, a Dutch organization for internationalization in education. And we have a Practor internationalization from ROC Twente and ROC Mondriaan in our team. What is the mutual aim of the National Work Group? international professional development of staff in VET towards a structured and strategic approach, and a structural integration of internationalization and human resource development in VET schools. And what expected outcome do we want to realize? Future-proof. 1. We want to make international competence development more visible. 2. Give international staff development a real place within human resources. And 3. International staff development as naturally integrated, visible in a VET organization. How often did the National Work Group already meet? And which steps did the National Work Group already made until now? In February, we started with a live meeting of 2 hours in Utrecht. Due to the corona, we arranged online meetings from June. Always short, 1 hour, and interactive, so very efficient. Before each meeting, everybody prepares homework, mostly answering questions by using a Padlet. And in May and June, we worked on preparation step 1. We inventory overall needs from the National Work Group and we did the preparation step 2. We matched our most common need and made agreements about the outcome. We decided to realize 3 products. The final product was realizing a kind of model, a matrix, or stairway for international development of staff in VET. To start, for example, conversations, which can be used by, for example, human resource development, managers, international office, or the employee itself, to see possibilities how to develop him or herself in international skills and international activities. So for the final product, we need also to have an interactive infographic with all updated international activities. And we need a format for international competences for staff in VET. So we had 3 products. The preparation step was settle online meetings and commitment for presence arranged for the online meetings. Make real steps from September, learning by doing. And you can see we started in September, and then we had a meeting in October, and next week we have the following meeting. And in September, NUFIC offered to make the interactive infographic with all updated international activities. And in this meeting, the National Work Group gave input. And this format will be ready in December 2020. And in October, we started together with NUFIC, and NUFIC offered to make the format international competences for staff in VET. We did also a session then, and the National Work Group gave input. And the first formats presentable will be approximately in February 2020. And later on, we will, in the interactive part, you can give also your recommendations for this item. And next week, we have a session with human development staff. So we will ask the experts to give information about how to integrate international competences. Which international competences have already been included in the current job profiles? And where do we see possibilities? And also, if we want to make international development more visible in the future, what are possibilities and how can we arrange this? How does it look like? Is this text, infographic, or something else? Which input does human development resources exactly need from International Office? Now, in February and March, we will have the follow-up. And now I give the floor to Anne Rosier, researcher of NUFIC, so the Dutch Organization of Internationalization in Education. And she will give information about the international competences of the student. That was her basis for the format international competences for the employee.
Thank you, Ellen, so much for that wonderful introduction. I'm jealous of your presentation skills, so you're a hard act to follow. Hi, everyone. My name is Anne Rozier. I can't see your faces, so it's hard for me to react to the mood in the room, so to say. So I'm just gonna go and do my presentation. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat so we can make sure that we cover everything. So as Ellen said, I'm involved in this project as a researcher at NUFIC, which I always jokingly say means that I get paid to ask questions, which is something that I really love. And my expertise in the past months has been the international competence model, as displayed on the screen right now. Just to give a brief introduction of what this is and what it means and why we made it, I'm part of a research group in Den Haag, in which we are involved in trying to create an overview of internationalization in the Netherlands within the different educational sectors. So we do not always specifically focus on VET or higher education, for example. And in asking professionals what their need was in this moment, we often receive the answer, we are not quite sure what the actual learning outcomes are of an international activity. So if I want to stimulate my students to, for example, participate in an internship abroad or a virtual internship with a company or organization abroad, what is it that they're going to be learning in the sense of competences? So a huge study, desk research, interviews later, we came up with this overview that you can see, and I'll make sure that you receive a link to the overview as well, so you can take your time and go through it if you wish to do so. Oh, and I'm sorry, I sometimes get distracted by chat, but I'll try not to be too distracted. Thank you for using it anyway. So what you see on the screen here is an overview of the international competences that we feel students develop through participation in an international experience. What is important to note is that we make no differentiation between educational sectors and no differentiation between activities. In publishing this, it became very quickly very apparent that that is exactly what the need is for at this moment. So we want to see and explore how does a certain activity relate to the development of an international competence or international competences. Meaning, does a student develop or work on different international competences through participation in, for example, an exchange abroad, as by doing so in participating in an internship abroad? Well, as you can already sense from how I'm introducing this follow-up research that we did, it was our assumption that this actually makes a difference, which would further emphasize the importance of internationalization as a means to an end. So if we can research what kind of outcomes are probable for a student participating in either an internship, an exchange abroad, language education, or online cooperation, we can better emphasize what the conversation should be about and preparing them and guiding them throughout this process. So that was part one. I hope this is clear for everyone. That was part one of our research. But as with all research, there's one question that you go into, then there's 1,000 more that you get at the end. So our follow-up question was, if we expect our students to work on certain competences, what does this mean for our teachers? And this is how I had the pleasure of being introduced to Ellen, and is the project that we are working on together in coming up with a similar model that applies to teachers and staff specifically. And then I will make sure also I'll put a link in the chat later, if that's okay with you, to a visualization that we made. Actually, no, yeah, I'll do it later because it'll be too chaotic. We put all these results because it was a large type of research. I think we interviewed almost 200 professionals within the different educational sectors, and we put it into kind of an instrument in which you can very easily click on, for example, a type of international activity and see the outcomes that those supervising students in these experiences feel are the most important ones. So I think that was all that I had to say on this topic. There's different ways for you to contribute if you'd like to do so. So please get in touch if that wish exists. Ellen, would you like to introduce the Menti, or should I do this?
Everybody can go to the menti.com and fill in the code 683188. We have 2 slides. The first slide is a long question. I could only mark 150 letters, so that's why I give an explanation. There is mentioned I for that means for the international guests. I would like to ask the international guests, do you already have developed a type of model, matrix, stairway for international development of staff to start conversations? And the question is, are you willing to share this? And for the Dutch people, the question is, what would be the main reason to use in the future a sort of model, matrix, stairway for international development of staff? The second question will be, when we say international competences for staff in VET, you say. Please go to the Mentimeter. I will give you 5 minutes and then we will have an open conversation.
And Ellen, for those of our guests who might not be able to see the slide, just in case, I put the link in the chat and also added the code.
Thank you, Anna.
Ellen, just to awkwardly break the silence for a second, I'm seeing in the chat that people have some questions about the Mentimeter because you can only see the second question that we noted.
Yeah,
is that
I think
correct?
they have to go. Yeah, that's what I did. So I think they have to go out the Mentimeter and fill in again the code, and then they will see the first question as well.
Perfect.
And otherwise, we will use the chat for the first question. Anna, would you like to check whether you see the first question as well?
Yeah, I'm checking it right now. No, I can only see one question, Ellen. So maybe we can do the
Use the
first
chat.
question via chat.
Yeah. I will put the question in the chat as well.
Perfect. And thank you all for letting us know. The chat works. That's good.
Sorry, can you please write the first question in the chat because I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm busy with it.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Are you willing to share it? I see that Ritva Clavou mentioned we have international stairway steps in Trédoux. Would you like to tell something about that?
Oh, hello, I'm Ritva Clavou from Tampere. So we have international stairways in our strategy, and they were developed maybe 3 years ago. And so we have the first steps for all of our staff members. That means that they are positive on internationalization, and then it goes further. And the final step, I think it's number 5. That's the one who is realizing projects and is a project manager in international projects. But we have levels for all staff members, and you should discuss about the levels on the yearly discussions with your supervisor. So that's our model in short.
And did you arrange that together with Human Development Department?
Yes, we made it together, but actually it was part of the kind of a pedagogical thesis of one of our staff members. So that's how we created it. So it was done as a part of the thesis work.
Well, this triggers me immediately. Thank you, Ritva, for your input. What do you remember, and I don't mean specifically, but do you remember what the context was of the thesis? Because it's interesting to know more about how you could set up a process like this by basing yourselves on thesis or research.
Yeah, it was about international competencies of staff members. And we also integrated ECVET development over there. But well, I should get I should see the information better, because it was not my thesis, so I have to see it properly.
Sounds really interesting, though. If it would be an option to share, or if you would feel comfortable in sharing it, that would be very nice.
Yeah, I could share it a bit later on. Yes.
We have a Padlet. Jan and I at the same time put in the link in the chat. I just added a bullet there, so if people have those stairways models which they could share with us, you can do it in the Padlet. So you can add attachments there, so I can put the Padlet in again because the chat goes fast. But okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Chantal mentioned, yes, it could be helpful, so good to know. Sandra is, well, Ivona mentioned, thank you. Yes, we would like to work with it. Anu mentioned, our colleague doesn't have it, but some of our colleges in Finland have done model stairways. So super. We will contact you about that. Marcel mentioned the Padlets, and let's check the Mentimeter. The international competences mentioned is very important in this day and age. Competences to work abroad and to get involved in intercultural work groups. New skills and knowledge sharing, learning by doing. Sounds good. We have international steps for staff in international strategy. Who mentioned this? Is this also from Finland or somebody else?
Yeah, that was my comment actually.
Oh.
From Fredu. Yeah, sorry. in Mandy, yeah.
Okay. Do you have questions for the group, Anna?
No, I was just typing a response to it in the chat because when I
I
heard
thought
your
so as well.
description, I already thought.
But just to check, I hope maybe somebody else had it
Exactly.
also.
No, I do have a question actually, but maybe this is an additional one again. So feel free to use the chat or respond by using your mic. I see a lot of responses that are very positive in trying to develop a relevant matrix, or how you would call it, for staff and students. And I would be curious to know how international competences is a part of your work now, even if it's not in a matrix form. Like, is it an essential part of what you're doing, and what are your experiences in doing so?
So maybe we can repeat once again your question, and I will put it in the chat.
Yes, I'd be curious to know to what extent international competence development is already a part of your work right now.
I think they are all busy with writing. I've got the list of members who are in, so maybe I can ask somebody to tell something. Carrie Duffy from Belfast Met, is she in?
No, she isn't.
Oh,
Sorry.
and Glenn, maybe?
Glenn also not.
Somebody from Spain, maybe?
Well, I'm not from Spain, but I can see that in the chat, Elaine has put in her her answer to the additional question. And Elaine, do I understand you correctly if your answer implies that you're already working on, like, it's an integral theme in your work, but maybe not yet formalized? That's interesting. Do you see, but maybe this is going in too much depth, so please feel free to not answer me. But do you feel that it not being formalized, no, that if it were to be formalized, that could have additional benefits to you guys working on this theme? I'm just curious on how you've organized it right now, and I can see that you've written down sharing best practices and curriculum development, which are very interesting themes in that respect. So and then I'm going to have to, ask you one more specifying question. Do you mean, yes, in terms of learning outcomes, it would be nice if this part was formalized, or is this your answer on how you're dealing with it at this moment? Elaine, I'm going to give you some time also to write it down in the chat if you wish to do so. And then, which you've already done just now, identify all competences in a formal model. Thank you very much. That's very helpful. I'm going to link your comment to the comment that Lenny just put in, saying it seems there's an interest for the concept of linking the international activities to international competences. Lenny, would you care to elaborate a bit on this point? Would it be possible to test the draft matrix in the networks?
In the network of networks. Yes, we can do that. It's no problem.
That would be useful. I think it's important with any matrix that we develop to keep testing it, because as you all, I'm sure, have experienced, the theme is so complex that as soon as you've thought about the first draft, it's already useful to think about the second one. So if you could test it and see how it works in individual contexts, that can only make the development better and speed up. Yeah, definitely. Would it maybe be useful, Ellen? I'm just thinking out loud right now. We didn't prepare this, but I could quickly share the instrument, the tool that we've developed, even though it's in Dutch, but just to see, I'll put the link in the chat so people can see for themselves if they'd like to check it now.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, I can also imagine that there are some questions for us, because now we're just asking our audience for our input, but I can also imagine it's a lot of information, so maybe you have some questions.
So raise your hand if you have questions. Can a Finnish colleague explain the steps? Yes, Ritva mentioned that one of her colleagues made that. So I will contact her colleague and get the information, and we will come back to it in the Network of Networks meeting.
Yeah, I'm just finding the information, but it's in our own material. So I'm trying to share something, but I just have to take it out from our own sources first. But yes, and then we have explanation, but now it's in Finnish only, so I have to modify it a little bit. Sorry, I was not prepared for this.
That would have been a nice surprise if you were like, oh yeah, of course, I've got it lined up already. Here's the English translation. I would have been impressed.
I do not see any hands right now. What I can do is, I had a beautiful quote. So coming together is a beginning, staying together is a progress, and working together is a success. So for the future, for this moment, the work group only consists of Dutch people. And maybe in the future, there will be requests for an international projects, depending on the mutual wishes and aim of the work group in the future. So if you have questions, you can contact me, Ellen Geerts from Deltion College. And I will put my email address in the link. And I would like to ask you to turn on your video so we can make a picture together. Smile. Super. Okay, I see the steps are in the chat.
Yes, they are in Finnish now because they are from our strategy, but all of our staff members are part of these steps. And I can make a small explanation what we have there. So the step number 1 is the attitude. So you should be positive, you should be curious and open for internationalization. You should understand the meaning and the importance. And you should understand that the international actions are part of the everyday life. And you should also respect the differences between cultures. And the step number 2 is the interest. So you should spread the attitude for students and staff members. You should be interested to participate, and you should be positive with different visitors and helping things and participate on discussions. And you should randomly participate on action, and you are interested to receive more information. Step number 3 is the knowledge. So on that step, you already communicate, you also already participate, and you are flexible in international relations. You have gained cultural understanding. You can use foreign languages. You want to develop your language skills. You are willing to meet foreign visitors and both students and staff members, and you integrate them on your own work, and you can also share your own knowledge. And then number 4 step is that you participate. You actively participate on international activities, and you actively participate on development work. You actively participate on the arrangement of the different happenings. You easily can manage to work with foreign languages. You have your own networks, and you can manage that in international actions. You can also guide, and you can do guidance for students on different international things and also mobilities. And then the final step here is the step number 5, where you do develop the common processes and practices. You are an expert in national and international networks. You manage international projects. You train and guidance others. And you are working at the EU levels and national levels, and you actively also develop your own knowledge. So this in short.
Thank you for your quick information and translation. Yes, I think the network of networks can learn from your country in this. So I will contact you, and then we will combine everything. So also for the other partners in the network. Okay. On behalf of Anna, Rosia and myself, I would like to thank you for your interest, time and enthusiasm. And if you have questions, please email me or contact me. And I hope to see you in the future again. Thank you.